Welcome to Brandon Hall Group's Excellence at Work podcast. You will hear from industry leaders covering innovative, cutting edge business, learning, and HR topics that weave current market research and technology into each episode. Our Excellence at Work podcast is hosted by Brandon Hall Group's Chief Operating Officer and Principal HCM Analyst, Rachel Cook.
Hi, and this is Rachel Cook. Welcome to our Excellence at Work podcast here at Brandon Hall Group. And today we're going to be talking about learning and the direction of learning, the future of learning with Tesseract Learning. We are meeting with Partha Vinukanda, the head of instructional design from Tesseract Learning. Welcome. How are you doing today?
Hey Rachel, a very good morning to you as well. Yeah, I'm doing good today.
Great, and I believe it's evening time for you. You're based in India, is that correct?
Yes, it's close to 8 p.m. in India, Bangalore. Yeah.
And that's so great about now technology, how we are all able to connect globally, basically anywhere in the world at any time. And we bring that through our learning as well as we're helping develop our people and organizations. And we're talking today about the future of learning. So I'm excited to have you here to share with us your perspective and some insights of what you're doing at Tesseract Learning. And this is we've interviewed several different leaders from your organization this year around a series of different topics and thought leaderships. So this is very timely for us too. We have a survey um, out in the market collecting data on what business leaders are focused on for going into 2023 around different aspects of human capital management, and learning is one of the areas that we're covering extensively. So it's interesting for us to see what you're doing as far as with your clients and what you see is the future of learning, and a little bit about you, Partha. I want to share with our listeners today. For those of you that may not know your background, Partha is a learning design strategist and head of ID at Tesseract Learning. He comes with more than 20 years of experience in the field of instructional and learning design. His in-depth learning design knowledge and experience has helped customers in more than 25 domains across numerous verticals in implementing impactful learning solutions to customers. And as I mentioned, he's from Tesseract Learning. And a little bit about Tesseract Learning is a young and dynamic digital learning solutions provider with a strong ethos and ecosystem, fostering creativity, innovation, and team spirit, helping them in providing optimal solutions to customers. Being one of the preferred e-learning partners to leading global customers adds additional responsibility for them to deliver high quality products. And as well, I want to recognize them. They are a bronze preferred provider with Brandon Hall Group, and they have been recognized for 2 awards from Brandon Hall Group's Excellence HCM Excellence Program in 2022. Congratulations.
Thanks a lot, Rachel, for those nice words.
Well, they are yes, so they're well deserved, so you should be proud of the work that your company's doing and your team and the work that your teams are doing. And so let's get started here. What's your take on learning and the future of learning?
So when we as a group, as a company, when we look at learning, it definitely stems from the fact that we are looking at what other thought leaders have to say. What is the thing that is keeping learning ticking, because learning is one of the definitely most important aspects in the world today. And given the global market and size, it is definitely a very very important aspect of corporate growth, because without learning and training, I don't think the organizations can move forward. And I would like to quote Peter Senge, who actually said something like this: a learning organization is an organization that is continuously expanding its capacity to create its future. And leadership is all about creating new realities. So When it comes to learning and its future, the role of leadership is definitely very, very important. It cannot be left to the learners, it cannot be left to the L&D teams or the business verticals and horizontals. It has to definitely come from the top, it has to come from the leadership. So it is amply clear that any organization that wishes to have a sustainable future and build upon its product and service offerings must continuously learn and innovate. And this can definitely happen when leadership has a strong vision for the future. A leadership buy in is important for an organization to grow and have a strong footing in the market. So, a manager who focuses on the present, whereas a leader is one who concentrates on the future. So, that's a definitely a thing which almost everybody knows, right? Because it is the leader who should be driving the entire initiative. So, learning when driven by leaders through regular interactions, conversations to speak of, and podcasts goes a long way in making the organization a learning organization. It's not just about having an LMS or asking employees to attend a few training programs. It's about having a culture that makes learning fun and core part of an employee's life cycle. So, right from the induction, onboarding, and settling down into the new role and then job and performing, it's not just about having an LMS, right? It's not just having about having rolling out some training program. It is about culture, it's about values, it's about what the organization wants, what its vision is, what its mission is, and how learning ties into that. So that's very crucial. So this is where the leader, and I mean leader here, I mean all the business leaders, especially the CEO, should have a strong say in what the organization should be doing when it comes to learning. So it's not just a statement, but it's the truth. The best leaders, as I know, are constant learners. And having attended so many conferences and seminars, I see that leaders are indeed very much interested in learning and development. Even if they are from, say, other backgrounds, like say marketing background or sales background, they still show a keen sense of learning. And reinvention and relevance are two critical aspects they must thrive on. And renewal is a word we use in our lives very often. So that is what I feel personally about what leaders and leadership should be doing uh, about the future of learning.
Right. Yeah. So, the future of learning holds a lot of, you know, it's exciting, and there's going to be a lot of change, as we've seen currently. And there's also some things that are constant that are going to remain. As far as I feel a lot of the process kind of changes or kind of stays the same, but the way that we look at it and how we approach it and the tools that we use change. And so, as you're seeing this, how are leaders relevant in learning?
So yeah, I mean, as I said just now, leaders are relevant because without a strong leadership, without a core value of the organization being set by the leaders, there is not much scope for the employees to go forward and take their learning seriously. It is the leaders who set the tone. It is the leaders who have to build that learning culture. I mean, whether it is town hall meetings or whether it is motivating the employees through regular campaigns or talking to the individual business leaders about the various learning initiatives. It could be a simple initiative like probably going green, or taking environment seriously, or aligning to the various goals. How UN has set 17 sustainable development goals. So even if it is an organization wide initiative, or whether it is a learning initiative, leaders have to stay in the forefront. And yes, they are anyways, they are doing the job when it comes to driving the sales for the company, or driving the various initiatives. But their role is equally critical when it comes to learning, because without learning, or without a learning culture, the organization would fall apart. And there are several examples. I mean, we have seen over the last 50 to 100 years, those organizations that don't learn or don't lay any emphasis on learning actually fall apart after a period of time.
Absolutely. And we've just seen it in our HCM excellence looking outlook for 2022 this year, and we're looking at data for next year. And one of the biggest focus was on L&D investments that link learning to business objectives and skills and competencies needed for success. And for organizations to be able to do this and to focus on this, you really have to have leaders that are driving and the objectives, right? And understanding the business needs, and then understanding how you have what types of people you need in your organizations and how they align to the culture. So leaders are so relevant to learning and to all aspects of the organization. And how do you define, or what constitutes a good leader from your point of view?
See, there are of course various frameworks and various leadership models. Like there's a situational leadership model. Then there is of course the traits model. People say the leaders are born, but as many management gurus and experts have said, that leadership can be cultivated, leadership can be grown. And so definitely, what constitutes a good leader? A good leader is one who has a strong sense of vision. He understands, he or she, sorry for the I said he, in the age of equality and inclusion, I shouldn't be saying he. So he or she should have a strong sense of organization's core values. He or she should have an understanding of the social requirements. Leadership doesn't happen just where the leader is. In the same way, learning just never happens where the learner is. It includes exchanges and interactions between employees and the leaders, the managers and the leaders. The external partners are the leaders. So it's basically all about leading from the front. It is about understanding the core values of the organization. It is about tying the core values to the organization growth, as well as understanding that learning is also a very very central aspect of this growth. I mean, if the employees are abreast with the latest of what the company's products are, what their service offerings are, and they understand the market trends better, there is always a better chance for the employees to perform better. So we cannot really divorce or put learning and performance separately. Learning drives performance. So that is where leaders need to understand that because the age old in the age old times, you remember that training was just a calendar event, right? I mean, people used to just drive through LMS and just roll out the training programs without actual understanding that training and learning can lead to better performance if implemented correctly. So this is where leadership plays a very very vital role.
Hmm. I think in those times it was a lot easier for learning professionals to develop a training program, right? And then they, sometimes they measured the impact, or but it was really more about whether or not their employees completed it. And and that was kind of the key metrics in the past, and that's not necessarily what's happening now. So it is more complex. It is more exciting, I think, for learning professionals because they have so much. There's a lot of creativity that goes into developing good learning, and innovation that goes into creating great learning, and then the impact that they can, the ROI that they can demonstrate through great learning initiatives is, is immense. So I think the opportunities are so great, but it is quite different than what it was. And so as you're kind of developing your learning, and um, what kind of frameworks that do you use to tie your learning and leadership development?
See, there are of course several frameworks when it comes to leadership development, whether it is a classroom session or an e-learning. I mean, meaning digital learning. But one of the frameworks that we do refer to is the DAC model, or the Direction Alignment Commitment model. It is developed by the Center for Creative Leadership. So, without going too deep, I would just say that it talks about like what I have been saying all along in the podcast is about the direction which the entire organization should go for, and the alignment between the various groups, various teams, as well as commitment. So commitment, as I said, if the leaders are not committed, if the leaders are not driving the whole learning initiative and not sitting with the L&D teams driving the thing, definitely the leadership development will not take place as intended. It is not about one person, it is about the collective, it's about the team. So that is where I feel that this model actually helps to provide a good insight on how we can develop leaders.
And that's useful. It's a very it helps you kind of shape your and guide your thinking around how to develop leaders. And as you mentioned, there's a lot of research and there's a lot of examples in the market. And I think you have to kind of align to what helps you and helps your clients the best. And so, how would you? I mean, you've shared some interesting points today, and as we wrap up, what are some of the things that you'd like to sum up our conversation with, or tips that you'd like to leave our listeners with?
So definitely, being a visionary is one thing, but how you source that vision is totally another matter, right? So when you make the team inclusive of this framework, there is transparency, and the definition of hard work translated to restoring a failed action and not putting in obnoxious hours at work. It's all about commitment. It's all about inclusivity, because we are living in very interesting times. We are living in an age where there is a talk of inclusion, there is talk of diversity, there is talk of global workforce, there is migration. People, they work not only within the country, but they also travel abroad, right? There are so many Indians working in US, likewise people working in Australia, Singapore, Europe. So there is this constant flux. There's a constant flux of movement of people. So that is why leadership has to understand this, that they are working with people from diverse backgrounds there, and they have to confront with various various challenges, various issues, and understand that probably learning is that great bridge. Maybe what I would use a term called rainbow bridge, which would drive great learning, and it will drive inclusion, it will drive better learning outcomes as well as better business performance. Because when you're working with global teams, when you're working with people from diverse backgrounds, it's important that you understand where the people are coming from. I mean, I may be having a team, one could be from Brazil, one could be from US, one could be from Japan, and all come from various cultures, right? So as a leader, I need to understand like where they are coming from. I need to understand their perspective. I need to respect their perspective, and this can happen through learning. Because I have seen that when we are talking to various clients across the globe, what I've seen is that it is learning which actually bridges that gap more than anything else. Because once somebody, because the learning is like that elixir probably, which joins people, which connects people. And it is all about having a strong core team, and it is also about alignment to the core goals.
It is about alignment and transparency. All the things you mentioned are so critical for good leaders, and for and how it translates to learning and to providing the best learning strategy and approach. And it there's you have to have transparency in all that we do now, which is a good thing because that helps build trust, that helps build connection, inclusion. And I think these are the things that people in the workplace are craving and that they are demanding. They want to be part of a culture that they feel that is inclusive, that they have a voice, that they have opportunities, and to you know whether it's developing new products or developing new programs. They have, they have ability to make a difference. And I think that's what people also want, is that, having a meaningful job and a place to also do meaningful work.
Yes, well said.
Well, thank you, Partha. It was really nice chatting with you today and sharing it. We appreciate you sharing your perspective. And again, um, the work that you and your teams are doing at Tesseract Learning is impressive. So keep up the great work, and I look forward to more conversations with you and your team.
Thank you, Rachel. Nice talking to you today.
Take care.